We are a small but mighty group. Our universal heritage proposes that each person is made of divine goodness, and science offers that we are stardust. Whatever your beliefs, know that you are a gift inherently worthy of love, and we are glad that you are here today. In this moment of our shared journey, may you feel witnessed and honored, because love is the spirit of all souls. So let us now take a moment to greet our neighbors, both new and returning folks, with our names and pronouns.
Welcome again to all those who are with us in the moment and to those who are joining us online. I'm Austin Mitchell, and my pronouns are he, him, and I'm serving as the worship associate for today's service. Together with Nancy Olson, our Director of Congregational Life and Faith Formation, Maria Renner, pronoun she, ella, our guest speaker, and with us on music is Liz Ellsmore, our music director, pronoun she, her, and we are your worship team on the chancel today. Our senior minister, Reverend Katie, is off this Sunday, but will return next week. Maria Renner is an aspirant to the UUA and a UU seminarian studying at Methodist Theological Seminary in Ohio with plans to graduate in May 2028, and she lives in Indianapolis with her son. We extend a warm and joyful welcome to people of all ages. If you have little ones with you, nursery care is available for your convenience. We also invite everyone to connect with us by filling out a connection card, which you can find in the pews. You can fill out the physical card and put it in the offering basket later in the service, or complete a digital connection card by scanning the QR code located just outside the sanctuary. This is a fantastic way to let us know how we can support you or share any interests, comments, or concerns you may have. And now we have an announcement from Lynn.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Lynn Martin, pronouns she, her. Okay, so as some of you know, I represent All Souls, working with the nonprofit Live Free Indiana. And it's an umbrella organization for 3 groups. Y'all know the Black Church Coalition, the Indie Action Coalition. Now, it's pretty new. I hear model this huge t-shirt, and the Validus movement. So an important part of our work is to regularly identify those issues that are most concerned to our congregations. So here at All Souls, we had a listening forum about 2 years ago, and then a lot of one-on-one listening sessions. But as you can imagine, a lot has changed since then. So different priorities, or some of the more other priorities, are pretty much the same. So I'm asking you to please join us following the coffee hour here in the sanctuary for yet another listening forum where you can speak out on your most pressing social justice concerns for these times. And we will listen. Thank you.
Couple fun things. Anybody participate in the banned book crawl this week? Did anyone hit up an independent bookstore? Did anybody think about going to an independent bookstore? Okay, if you thought about it, if you thought it was a great idea, but this is the first time we've done it, so it took takes us a while to adjust to that, go ahead and sign your name to the back of one of these bookmarks that Dorian put together and leave it on the banned book table, and you might get a surprise. Just for the intention. And then if you want to visit any of those bookstores, keep a bookmark, not the one with your name on it, because I'll get that, because this gives a list of all the independent bookstores in central Indiana. And I would like to make a little plug for Wild Geese in Franklin, which is where most of you know I live, because it just won the Midwest Award for one of the best bookstores in community collaboration. Just saying, you might want to drive down there. Okay. Also, Indie Reads is doing their banned book drive. One last thing. Fall Fest and Pumpkin Patch fundraiser. Whoop, whoop! Yeah! Okay, gotta have some fun. We have to have some fun along the way. So sign up for the help with the Pumpkin Patch or the Fall Fest. Back here we have a table. Bonnie will be sitting at it. Keith might be around. And we also have QR codes, make it very easy for you to sign up and help. Everybody's had a good time before when we've worked, so, come along and sign up for those things. Thank you.
As we begin our time together, we acknowledge the land itself and those who have sustained it throughout the generations. We are upon the unceded land of the Lenape, Miamia, Kaskaskia, Shawnee, and Kickapoo people who were pushed from their land and whose children have been stolen for generations. As we strive to be a community of justice, may we continue to find ways to make real reparations.
Now we're going to start our call to worship. Border of a Dream by Antonio Machado. Caminante no hay camino. Caminante son tus huellas. El camino y nada más. Caminante no hay camino. Se hace camino al andar. Al andar se hace el camino. Y al volver la vista atrás. Se ve la senda que nunca se ha de volver a pisar. Caminante no hay camino, sino estelas en la mar.
Traveler, there is no path. Traveler, the path is your tracks and nothing more. Traveler, there is no path. The path is made by walking. By walking, you make a path, and turning, you look back at a way you will never tread again. Traveler, there is no road, only wakes in the sea. Wherever we are on our journeys, let us acknowledge this moment made holy by our choice to be together. Let us worship.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Renee Sutherland is lighting our chalice today, and Renee is also today leading a conversation with parents, grandparents, caregivers after the service up in the BD room about being with children. This ritual of lighting our chalice reminds us to continually renew our promise, to live into our covenant, to put love into action, and to live out this community of love and justice that we surely aim to be. So if you would please rise in body or spirit as we share the words that are printed in your order of service in Spanish and English. If you're with us online, we always like to know where you are lighting your chalice from. And let us speak in Spanish first. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia y el servicio es su ley. Vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad en el amor y ayudarnos unos a otros. Este es nuestro pacto. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our covenant. And if you would stay standing as we sing number 1051 in the teal hymnal, we are.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and and sings to the universe who we are.
Story time.
We're reading now a storytime book called Where We Come From. We come from stardust, our bodies made of ancient elements. We come from single selves evolving over billions of years and did all life on Earth, bacteria, trees, and animals.
In time, we became humans who spread out around the world. We come from place, language, and spirit, and each of us comes from story.
I come from Minnesota, Makoke, a land of forests and clear lakes where cornfields remember a vast prairie, a sea of tall grass home to bison, burrowing owls, and Dakota skipper butterflies.
I come from Korea, green mountains, black rocks, cold springs, wet moss, giant frogs, and pine trees winding around shadows.
A city grown by the river, that's where I come from, named for the strands of bur oak trees. This city called Ann Arbor is mine. Our stately old train station downtown sits not far from an arboretum with iris and peony gardens that spill into fern walks.
I come from the north, wind-whipped, snowy afternoons when dark comes early. From Minneapolis, a combination of Dakota and Greek words, waterfall city on the great river, Mississippi.
I come from Hitu Gagape, old stories told in winter by the fire, passed down from countless generations. Utume, the trickster, helps us remember what the elders teach. To be Dakota, you must be a good relative.
I come from a long line of dark-haired women who washed rice, spun silk, and wrote poems. I come from stones and trees with spirits, Buddhist temples in the woods, nine-tailed fox folk tales, tigers, and red-crowned cranes.
I come from people traveling, stories from 2 continents, one group in Ireland, the other somewhere in West Africa, painting and planting the harvest parsnips and barley, yam, and okra.
I come from the animals, bear, boar, elk, and deer, who kept us alive long ago in Ireland and Scotland. I come from groves in the forest, bounty of nuts, berries, and mushrooms, and from standing stones, sacred spots for ceremonies.
I come from the breath of plants, the sweet sap of trees, roasted corn, first medicine water, parched wild rice. Bison means sizzling fat on hot coals, gifts from the lands.
I come from 5,000 years of a people, kingdoms that rose and fell, an empire, movable metal type, and a native alphabet created so all the people could read and write.
White people call my ancestors slaves, dragging us to this country by force. We worked on enormous cotton plantations. They thought they owned too, but the flourishing forests we runaways hid in and also resisted.
I come from Gaelic speakers, sitting in a wide circle of stories, mythos, and poetry. I come from a drum, the bowran, and bagpipes, flutes and fiddles, songs sung at the ceilidh deep into the night.
I come from a war in 1862 that forced us from our homeland. From the bones of our relatives, from the plants we knew, I come from grandparents forbidden to speak their language, ancestors forced to learn English at boarding schools.
I come from over 100 years of migration across the Pacific, first on the SS Gaelic to sugarcane plantations and pineapple farms in Hawaii.
I come from black folks in Mississippi who loved the land but had to leave it behind, to stand up, to find enough space for who we were coming. They journeyed to industrial cities in the north, crowding into tenement houses, working in factories and meatpacking plants, all so babies could finally reach and grow.
I come from the soil, potatoes planted each year until blight and famine forced families to flee. I come from ocean crossings, Cork to New York, Glasgow to Halifax, people packed in boats, praying for passage.
I come from my grandmother's garden, picking berries warm from the sun. My ancestors' prayers brought us home to the land where we have always lived. Now families dance at powwows, learning our language and listening to the old stories once again.
I come from the Chicago skyline, chasing glowing fireflies at dusk, borrowing stacks of books from the neighborhood library, and reading them by flashlight at night.
I come from backyard snow forts and snowball fights in the park, from sleepovers in the treehouse and s'mores in the fire pit, from parents who love each other but sometimes fight, and brothers who never back down from a dare.
I came from baseball diamonds, playground basketball courts, weekly library visits, and cross-country road trips, looking to the future, learning from the past.
We all come from stardust, sparks of light connected by story, creating a circle of past, present, and future, ancestors, families, and you.
What do the stars, the fields, and the rivers sing to you? What stories does the wind whisper in your ear?
Please join me in taking a few moments to note that which is currently bringing joy or sorrow to our community. In joy, we want to thank Petra Ritchie for sponsoring the flowers in honor of our beloved pets, past and present. I believe these are some of the beautiful flowers right here. Thank you, Petra. We also, in sorrow, hold Carlos and the entire team at the Tiaoi Mexican restaurant in our hearts. Vandals have forced them to close multiple times in the last couple of months. Supporting this immigrant-owned and operated local business with cards or with your business when they reopen would be appreciated. You can check the In the Know newsletter for their address. The government shutdown has also had ripples that has affected millions of lives. If you need support, know that you are not alone. If you reach out to Reverend Katie, the minister's discretionary fund may be able to help. And now, let us hold a moment of silence together for the joys and sorrows in our hearts that are yet unnamed. Thank you. And now please rise in body or spirit as we sing hymn number 1009, the Meditation on Breathing.
When I breathe in, I breathe in
We now offer to you a reading from Piero Madar about Mark Twain. In 1867, a young journalist named Samuel Clemens, better known as Mark Twain, joined a steamship full of American travelers crossing the Atlantic. The trip would carry him through Europe and the Holy Land, and from it he wrote his first great success, The Innocents Abroad. Twain wasn't just sightseeing. He was poking fun at the pretensions of tourists, recording his own astonishment at the old world and reflecting on what happens when people leave the comfort of home. And from that experience came one of his most enduring lines. Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime. More than 150 years later, Twain's words still remind us that to step into another culture is not just a journey across miles, but across the boundaries of the heart and mind. In the spirit of Twain's words, let us come together for worship.
Good morning, beloveds. My name is Maria Renner, and my pronouns are she and Aya. As we gather in this space, I invite you to settle into this moment, feeling your body in this space, grounded. Let us breathe together, taking a deep collective inhale and exhale. This morning is the first time I've been invited to speak here at All Souls, which is both exciting and terrifying. So, of course, I wanted to start with a breath. The description of today's sermon invites reflection on the UUI hosted trip from this past summer, a journey layered with history, culture, language, and personal transformation. I also offer a small spoiler. This story will move through themes of cultural identity, belonging, ancestral connections, and wisdom found climbing a mountain to an ancient pyramid. I don't know what your week has been like, but mine has included moments of spiritual clarity, 2 experiences of total spiritual chaos, and gazing into my cat's eyes as if she owed me answers. And yet, here we are, gathered in this beautifully imperfect container of a Sunday morning, woven together with coffee breath and hopefully a few sturdy covenants. This is a space where we do not need to pretend in order to belong. This is a place that affirms the sacredness of each person, where lived truth is not just tolerated, but welcomed, invited, and honored. Today, I share some of my experiences in Mexico, and there's absolutely no guarantee that today's message will fit into your life. But it is my truth, and I offer it with the hope that some fragment might resonate in your bones. So come as you are, skeptical, scared, slightly feral, searching. This past June, UUI organized a Spanish language and cultural immersion trip to Cuernavaca, Mexico. Our days were filled with intensive classes, homework, meals with host families, and excursions to culturally and historically significant sites. We were 5 women traveling as Unitarian Universalists, 4 from UUI, including Reverend Dawn, and 1 lovely woman from All Souls. Before leaving, we prepared together, grounding ourselves in the reminder that we were not tourists or mere students, but travelers of faith and in accountable relationships. We committed to carrying intentionality into our experiences with one another, with our hosts, with the land itself, to navigate with humility, curiosity, and shared power. We were invited to live out our shared values of interdependence, pluralism, justice, transformation, generosity, and equity, and sought to embody them in faithful ways. We were reminded that we were guests in Mexico and to be aware of our privilege. We discussed the difference between travel as consumerism and travel rooted in right relationship. the difference between extracting from a culture and entering into true mutual exchange. These conversations stirred reflection in me about my own cultural identity. As a white passing Mexican American with both Mexican and South American ancestry, I asked myself if I am a guest in my ancestral homeland. How is my presence different from the other white women who traveled with me? How do I balance the privilege of my life in the United States with the blood memory of my Mexican roots? I questioned how I embody my culture in central Indiana, in my home, in my congregation, and with my son. Do I have enough Mexican ancestry to claim the name Mexican American? Who would I be if I no longer assimilated parts of my spirit, culture, and body to fit into this dominant culture? And if assimilation grants survival, what is the cost? And is that cost worth the spiritual death that it requires? And what do I want most for my son? These questions rose before the trip had even begun, planting seeds that would unfold throughout my time in Mexico. We studied with Ideal Mexico, a second-generation family-owned language school guided by integrity and care. Our classes stretched from morning into the afternoon, often followed by evening cultural excursions. Yet the moments that shaped me most unfolded outside of the classroom. One evening near our host's family's home, I noticed a tangle of dragonfruit vines arching really high over a barbed wire fence. Each night, the massive buds opened into luminous, exotic white blooms, fragrant and short-lived, disappearing by morning, only to ripen into brilliant, bright pink and yellow with flame green scales on its skin, speckled white or red flesh dotted with tiny black seeds inside. I'm not sure if people know that. I brought one to share, the dragon fruit. I could see the resilience and the persistence of the dragon fruit growing and thriving in between, around and through the razor-sharp, jagged edges of barbed wire, crossing those boundaries that were made to separate and restrict. I saw the dragon fruit defying the oppression and expanding beautifully through and beyond the imposed barriers. Another favorite moment came during a free weekend when I gathered the courage to navigate the city's labyrinth of streets, boarded a bus alone, and traveled to the Pueblo Mágico of Tepoztlán. There, I reunited with a dear friend I hadn't seen in nearly a decade, and together we entered a Temazcal, which is a Mexican sweat lodge. I hadn't seen him for so long, in nearly a decade, and we went into the sweat lodge ceremony that was alive with the smell of aromatic herbs, heat, and prayerful songs that resonated so deeply in my body. Afterwards, I wandered the cobblestone streets, eventually drawn towards a road that led to a pyramid built around 1400 AD in honor of Mayahuel, the Aztec goddess of the maguey plant, and of the sacred fermented nutritional drink, pulque. I began the climb totally unprepared, no water, the wrong shoes completely, sandals, and only a small kid-size umbrella, which is a long story. Imagining the walk would be short, it promised to only be 1.6 miles, but it was straight up. Instead, the path was extremely steep, rocky, punishing, every step demanding focus with deliberate foot placement. I could turn around at any time, I told myself, but somehow I kept going. And that's when the heavy rain started. It began to fall, turning what was jagged rocks into what was now extremely slick boulders. Every 10 minutes or so, someone seemed to slip and fall near me on the rocks, bodies colliding with stone. Yet rather than fear, I strangely, or not so strangely, felt very connected to the mountain, grounded in a clarity I can still recall. I stopped many times on the trail to rest and was surprised to see families carrying babies, newborn babies and infants, passing with astonishing ease. They didn't have baby carriers, they were just holding the babies in their arms while climbing these rocks. And still I pressed on until totally drenched and weary, somewhat disoriented, or was that from the Temascal Sweat Lodge, I reached the top, standing on the pyramid. I marveled at the endurance it must have taken to build such a place, and at the sacred drink, pulque, the fermented gift of the maguey plant. Had my ancestors visited this area? What would they want for me? What guidance would they offer me at this point of my life? I sat on top of the pyramid and listened to their whisperings. Descending the mountain was much easier. I never ended up falling and made it down safely with my heart so full and nourished from the experience of the day. So much so that when I was back in the city of Cuernavaca and making the long walk home from the bus stop, I didn't even mind when I was fully splashed by a colossal wave of water that a bus created when it sped by me. I remember laughing as I was already totally soaked from the pyramid climb and can't remember the last time I was splashed like that by a puddle. Nepantla, a metaphor developed by Chicana feminist scholar Gloria Anzaldúa, originates from the indigenous Nahuatl language, meaning in-between space or middle ground. It was first written about as a metaphor in her book Borderlands, La Frontera, the New Mestiza in 1987, and further expanded in her other books. Nepantla describes the liminal in-between state experienced when navigating multiple cultural, spiritual, and personal worlds simultaneously. It is a threshold space where one confronts contradictions, tensions, and conflicts inherent in living between languages, traditions, and identities. In Nepantla, individuals are challenged to reconcile the pressures of dominant culture with ancestral or subcultural knowledge, to embrace multiplicity, and to accept uncertainty as fertile ground for growth. This in-between space is not a place of stagnation, but of transformation. It invites reflection, creativity, and the emergence of new ways of understanding the self, the community, and the interconnectedness of all things. Living in Nepantla requires resilience, adaptability, and an openness to change, allowing one to move fluidly between worlds while honoring the wisdom and the struggles of those who came before. It is both disorienting and generative, a spiritual, cultural, and personal crucible in which identity, belonging, and meaning are continually renegotiated, offering a deeper, more expansive perspective on human experience. In light of Nepantla, my journey to Mexico becomes more than a story of travel or a language study. It's a living embodiment of the in-between space that Anzaldúa describes. Driving in a van full of our UU class in Cuernavaca, visiting sacred sites, witnessing dragonfruit thriving over barbed wire, and climbing the ancient pyramid in Tepoztlan, all of these moments place me in tensions between the worlds, the familiar and the ancestral, the comfortable and the challenging, the dominant culture I inhabit daily, and the deep-rooted traditions of my lineage. In Nepantla, I confronted questions of identity, belonging, and privilege, feeling the push and pull between the life I've inherited and the life I choose to live intentionally. Nepantla reframed my experience, showing me that the liminal, the tension, and the uncertainty are not voids to fear, but thresholds to enter, where personal and transformation can occur. It is here in this sacred in-between that I recognize that living fully means embracing the complexity of our intertwined histories, identities, and stories before stepping forward into action and intention. I returned home carrying the weight and gift of this journey. I'm inspired to one day organize a similar immersion trip within ministry, grounded in covenant and layered with care. I am committed to fluency in speaking Spanish and to reviving traditions that root me in heritage, including the foods my mother and grandmother once cooked. I want to pass these gifts to my son, supporting his Spanish fluency, sharing ritual, traveling together to South Texas and the Mexico borderlands, where my grandparents were from, so that he too may feel his connection to this lineage. And more than this, I want him to know of the rich, life-nourishing spiritual legacy waiting for him to engage. And so I leave you with this invitation and blessing. May we witness and honor the strength that emerges in the spaces between, the wisdom born from Nepantla, where identity, culture, and spirit intersect and transform. Grant us courage to ascend mountains, both literal and spiritual, and to navigate the liminal places within ourselves where uncertainty, tension, and multiplicity dwell. May we walk paths of intention and care. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
This week, we are sharing our offering plate with Faith in Place, whose mission is to empower people of diverse faiths and spiritualities to be leaders in advancing environmental and racial justice, providing resources to educate, connect, and advocate for healthier communities. To contribute, you can gift cash or check into the collection plate, or if online, you can go to allsoulsindy.org, where you'll find a link that says how to donate at the bottom of the page. Please indicate if your gift is a pledge payment or if it's for Share the Plate, if you are paying online or using a check. Thank you for your generosity in supporting the mission of All Souls and for your continued love for one another and for this world. The morning offering may now be given and gratefully received. Our closing words today are from the Reverend Dr. Michelle Collins. Changes abound around us, within us, between us. In our communities, our neighborhoods, and our beloved faith communities, changes abound. May we each find the balance point we need as we move through our ever-changing world, the balance between the old and the new, between the known and the unknown, between the familiar and the perhaps bold and risky possibilities that may be there, waiting.